Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love talking about? Games. And it's funny, a lot of people who talk about games these days seem to hate them, or at least seem to hate the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 1,548 of you beautiful people tuning into this channel. This week, we are taking a look at what was one of my holy grail tactical games for the PS1 that I picked up recently, and that is Rhapsody, a musical adventure. Now, I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to go through and pick up all the tactical games on the PS1. Now, admittedly, I've heard that this one is not the greatest as far as the combat goes, but it's a surprisingly deep and involved story. So, is that the case? Let's find out. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
I gotta state this off the bat. I know it's called Rhapsody, a musical adventure, but it's a legit musical.
Don't you understand what I am saying to you? Look inside yourself and you will find out what is true.
Mysterious kingdom that's never been seen. Land of the frogs, almost sacred place.
You are my angel. You are my everything. You mean more than anything.
There's musical numbers all throughout. There's singing, and not professional grade singing, mind you, but decent enough singing, duets, all that. And I don't know how many of you people on the channel know, or at least the new people know, but I actually studied musical theater for quite some time and was pursuing it. So it's kind of funny jumping into a game that's a tactical RPG that's a legit musical. I did not expect that. I don't know. And I guess I should know that based on the name, but hey, there you go. And another cool thing is that the main character's name is Cornet. And Cornet, for those who don't know, is another name for a trumpet or a bugle. And Cornet uses a bugle all throughout the game. It's a magic bugle that allows her to answer the dreams of puppets or stuffed animals, which she has the ability to talk to because she's of some ancient race of beings that has this ability. And we'll get into that some more, but essentially this is a very, very girly game. I'm not gonna lie with that. You're playing a young girl who wants to marry the prince and has dreams and aspirations of going to the ball, and you go to a ball at the beginning of the game. You have a costume contest, and then you have a battle contest, which that was cool. But it's just, it starts off making you feel like you're in some Cinderella story, but then the prince gets kidnapped. It's up to you to find and get the prince with the help of your rival, who's your on-again, off-again best friend, who's a really hoity-toity, really essentially a Mean Girls thing. But I don't know, like, it plays on the tropes of what I would expect, especially young men would think female relationships are like, but then it hits you over the head with some real-world knowledge that I did not expect. Like, there are some moments in this game that are straight up the most brutal things I've ever seen in an RPG. Once the prince gets captured, you find out you have to find 5 stones that will allow you to break the curse that's happened from this evil witch character, who is an old witch who's thousands of years old, and Boobs McGee, and she has her harem of half animal, half witch people. There's a falcon girl, there's a cat girl, and then a wolf girl. And that's her harem of witches. They crash the party in a dragon when you and the prince are about to confess your undying love for each other. And also, Cornet has a little fairy girl that's with her that's a puppet, but this puppet can actually speak. And when she speaks, everyone around the puppet can hear and understand it too. And that's why, that's unusual. And there's a reason why that's unusual. And it's just a very surprisingly funny game, too. The humor is on point. You have this part where you go to the costume contest and you wear this giant bear outfit, and it's just insane. And then when you end up winning the contest, you get to dance with the prince, but you have to dance with the prince in your costume. And so it's almost that quirky where, hey, you love the girl, you love the person for being who she is, and the prince is portrayed as someone who appreciates that, versus the rival character who's just a stuck-up snob who only loves money and only does this. And I don't think she's the best written of the characters. She does end up having a heart and helps you, but it doesn't come off quite genuine because she is so cruel during the whole thing. And there is a lot of subtle stabs at weight and looks and things like that, you know, some are funnier than others. But the brutality of the game, once you get to the part where you have to start collecting stones, each one of the stone, for the most part, comes at a significant cost. To get the Firestone, you have to kill some dragons, which then unleashes the volcanoes and start destroying the town. And it's funny because the humans who caused this issue to happen because they're greed to kill the dragons or want to mess with nature, it then leads to their own downfall, and then they spend this time complaining about, oh, woe is us, why does the worst happen to us? And it is an interesting message where it's one of those things where you lead bad things to happen to yourself through your own actions, but you're too blinded by your own hubris or your own stuff to even realize it's happening. When you go to the Snowland, you can get the Thunderstone, but if you get the Thunderstone, you cause this entire race of foxes or furry creatures, they're called Ninetails, to become extinct. And they tell you that. They're like, all right, we can give you the stone, but we're all gonna go. And this whole town's business is based on, you know, the harvesting and selling of the furs, but also maintaining the population. But no, you get the stone back and they're all gone. You get the Ocean Stone by going back with these pirates, thinking you're going to rescue this man who's stranded at sea, and find out he's dead. But the one that's the worst is the Earth Stone. So you go to this land of frog people where the prince is in love with a minstrel, essentially. And so the minstrel has stolen the princess. And the king says, okay, you can have my daughter's hand in marriage if you bring back the Earth Stone. So then you and the prince, or the minstrel, go and find the Earth Stone, and it's all great. You get there, the king keeps his word, says, all right, you may marry my daughter, but you have to be punished for breaking into the castle. And straight up executes him right in front of his daughter. In a game that's a quote-unquote girl game. Oh my god, that was one of the most just craziest things I've ever seen in a game. They literally spear the guy, and he's dead. It's crazy. Now, I didn't go too much into it. What happens is you recruit either monsters, and if the monsters die, I think they're out of your party altogether, and you can sell them in certain towns, and you recruit puppets. And the puppets, if they die, can be repaired, but there's no way to revive them outside of being repaired. And each one starts at level 1, and they all have a storyline. Now, I didn't find any of the storylines other than the puppet you wear as a suit. Once the puppet fulfills their destiny, the puppet soul goes to heaven. I guess you can also recruit the princess who commits suicide, mind you, and the frog who was stabbed to be on your team as well late in the game, but I never found them. But I found all these other ones, and there's some real tragedy and heartbreak. Like, you have a little boy who's rescued by a dog, but the dog unfortunately passes. Now, you can recruit the dog, and then the little boy becomes dangerously ill, but I didn't figure out how to have the dog then, you know, bring the little boy's spirits up or something like that, because they were blocked by people. And it's just, it's interesting like that. It's very interesting. Now, caveat, all this cool world building, all this interesting everything, the combat is straight garbage. It is so easy to cheese. You start off with this one character named Sharty, and she has a AoE spell she learns very early on that hits super hard and hits a lot of tiles, and if you just hit that every time, every go round, it wipes out the whole field for the most part, except for on a few boss battles, and even then the boss battles are an absolute joke. And you get this ability you build musical notes if you play your horn in battle, so you'll see in the upper right hand corner there's a bunch of music notes. The more you play your horn and the more characters you affect by giving them a stat boost, it then builds up the ability for you to drop ultimates. And so you can drop pancakes, you can drop cake, you can drop things like that. And that alone also makes it even easier. And even when you don't know the health bars of the enemies, it'll show question marks, but it'll still show it going down. So you can kind of gauge what's going on. And it just, you know, it got to the point where every battle I was never getting touched, except for the battles where you're supposed to lose. So that's what it is. It's either the battles are too simple and there's no challenge, or you're in an unwinnable battle where it's just, why even have it? Why not just have me get eliminated? I think of the entire runtime of the game, which is short, you know, it's only a 10-12 hour game, mostly because of the aforementioned battle system being so simple. And it just, there's not much difficulty to it. But I think that's actually a benefit in this. This is a game that I feel, because of the combat woes, would overstay its welcome. Now, luckily, when your characters level up, your health and your mana are replenished, and you get certain armor or certain stat boosts that you can wear, the rings, and one of which is a have the mana use of your consumables, and I put that on Sharty, and then her big damage thing, which is 30 MP, is now 15, and that allowed me to spam the hell out of it too. So that's why it's a good beginner game though. Like this whole series was something that I really wanted to get because I thought this would be a great game to introduce my daughter to RPGs, which I still thoroughly think that. And they recently have done a release of the Unreleased in America sequels. So there's another game on the PS1 and then one on the PS2 that we never got. So one's a direct sequel, I believe, and then another one I think is a one that takes place either in the past or far in the future. And that was just released for the Switch, as well as this game's available on other platforms. So the PS1 version is very expensive. The DS1 isn't super expensive, but still. But there's a Switch version that you can get that's on a compilation with, I think, La Pucelle or something like that. It's by the people who make Disgaea, that whole thing. But luckily, I did not find the art style as offensive here, and the humor was great. Like, the humor was definitely carrying the load on this, because the exploration, the dungeons are all either colored corridors that are red, blue, green, red, amber, things like that. And then there's castle corridors that sometimes you just get lucky. Like, there's a lot of dead ends in it. It just seems like they're arbitrarily made obtuse. You can find illustrations throughout it that you can view in your inventory or in the title screen, as well as you can go through and listen to your songs, which this game comes packaged with with the soundtrack, so if you want to listen to the music as well, because some of the songs are pretty catchy. All in all, though, what a unique very unique story, because there's so much bonus content going through and completing the side stories of the puppets that once you do, it unlocks more abilities for Cornet. However, because the combat is such a joke in a normal playthrough, none of it's needed. In my opinion, that's a benefit. I enjoy games like this where, you know what, make me do a second playthrough because I want to go through and see all that, though the combat is very tedious. I gotta say, but the encounter rate is good. The encounter rate is solid. It doesn't make you feel like you can go through some dungeons where you only get into an encounter every 5 to 8 rooms. Sometimes it hits a little sooner than that, but it does have the freedom of exploration where you go and find the stuff as you go. So you have to go into the towns, talk to the townsfolk. One might mention, oh, there's a mountain that people went to, and then when you go back to the world map, that mountain is available. Or you'll have to go and talk to someone in the fire town who tells you how to lower the bridge in the drawbridge section, and then you'll go there. So it's gated a little bit, but once you get to the point where you have to collect the stones, that's when the game opens up and you can, for the most part, collect the stones in any order you want. I think you have to do the fire one first, but then the thunder, wind, snow, and earth stone you can do in any order. And as I said, I did the earth stone last, and after seeing the kind of the consequences of your actions in the other missions, getting there and seeing the frog guy legitimately get speared was one of the most unexpected things I've ever seen in a game, and really made me put this game at a different level, and is a real treat to check out, and super funny, fun for all ages. Just if you're looking for a tactical experience that's going to engage you, which I knew. My friend Daria told me about this game a long time ago, where it's a fun game, but don't go into it expecting too much. And that's what I would say here too. Go into it looking for something that's not going to scratch that itch as far as unique gameplay goes, but it is very enjoyable and unexpected going into it for what it does. And it's a damn musical. It's a legit musical. Like, me and Jen could go and remake this damn thing. How crazy is that? But yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed Rhapsody Musical Adventure. Let me know if you've played it. Let me know your thoughts on it. As a reminder, I release a video every Tuesday. I just want to take this time and once again thank all the new patrons, thank all the new subscribers. I have been having some amazing growth lately, and it has been incredible. We actually got up to 1550 until today. I lost a couple. That's all right. That's all right. I am thrilled as a pig in pink, and just so happy to be able to share these games and all this stuff with you guys. Next, like I said, I think the next video for next week, depending on if one of the games showed up, is going to be a video on the Quintet games. Quintet, and to some extent the Shade games, which is a publisher that I love, that I don't think gets enough credit or enough of its due. So stay tuned to that. If it's not that, it's because the game didn't show up in time. There's some Japanese-only releases I wanted to talk about as well. But yes, love all you guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.